So we ready? Say your names.
Johnny?
Jane?
Tony.
Tess. Tony. Victor.
Mary?
Ross?
Tony.
There's a fourth one. From there, 1, 2, 3, 4, T, T.
Bullshit.
All of a kind.
Yeah.
I want to say Tony. That's all of them.
We should have all said Tony.
Yeah, it's only one of us, so we may as well all call itself Tony. Yes, I was instructed to kick it off. Hopefully Bob will join. Yeah, so there's only one of us, Tony. And it's just that one, seemingly appearing in many, many different forms. But ultimately, every form could be broken down to just vibrating pattern of energy, which is an energy, an emptiness that is vibrating into forms. So that one essence is what we seemingly look for, because we can't find it because we are that. And there is no need to look for it because there is nothing else but that. So search is just another movement of energy. Seeking and imagining that there is something to find and there is someone who is to find it is just another movement of energy. It's a vibration. It's not a thing. Hey. Got another Tony.
Seriously?
No, Cole. Yeah, it brings the balance. Now Tonys are only 30% of the crowd. And it's still only one. Still only one. And if there is only one, how could you be anything else than that one? You couldn't. If everything is just that one. Okay, so all of you really know what it is about. You've heard it many, many times before. So you know that there is only one thing going on. It's one, just one. And it has aspects, seemingly. It has an aspects because that one is expressing itself. So the expression of emptiness is form. Expression of silence is sound. Expression of stillness is movement. And now the stillness is the reality. The static aspect is the reality. The silence is the reality. And the expression is a maya or illusion. Is something that is transient.
Famous word. I was watching you guys the other night.
Yeah, wasn't it cool?
It was very good. Loved it.
Yes.
Tissue.
Yeah, so everything that is transient, that is impermanent, we call it phenomena. And phenomena, it means unreal. It means something that comes and goes, something that doesn't have real existence. Real existence is that which never changes. So that which never changes is the basic screen, which is only a word. Basic screen as such doesn't exist because it's not a thing, it's not an object. The language works in a way that it creates symbols, and the words are symbolic for the things that it represents. Basic screen does not have and cannot have the representation because it is a very substance from which everything arises and disappears. So it isn't a thing that could be found. So looking for it is pointless. Like, how could we look for something that we can't move away from? Is trying to find... Did you want to ask something, Mary?
Yeah. When you say, why do we all, the seekers, we're all seeking all the time, and yet there's nothing to seek?
Yeah.
Why do we go crazy about it? You know, books, you know, go to seminars or whatever? Why?
Wonderful question.
Because it's not recognised. If you believe, if we've been told there's something to seek, and that urge comes up to try and find out what we actually are, and we continue to seek until we find there's nothing to seek. There's no seeker for a start-up.
Okay, even though we were discussing this with Tony this morning, even though we know that, and I speak there for myself, I feel if I don't do anything, I'm not going to get there.
Have you ever tried not doing it?
Well, I do, but even then I think maybe I'm being too, what's the word?
Complacent.
Thank you.
So you've got to step outside the crowd. Everybody, 99.9% of the world are believing there's a self-centre there. And for little old me to step outside of that, or thinks he's got to step out, he or she's going to step outside of it, that's a big concern.
Yeah.
But what if you realise what they're pointing to is the reality, is the actuality, and it cannot be grasped with a word or a thought or an idea or an image. We're told that, you know. It's non-conceptual awareness.
I know, I understand that, and you know, like I was watching you guys on Thursday and I thought it was great. I even commented on Facebook. I understand on that, but still that mind.
Exactly, the mind.
Now, I've been watching a lot of your things here, show I was going to say, the set signs here on YouTube, and one of them, someone asked you, had you got awakened, and you said, I was meditating, chanting, but then I realised that I was still playing the story. That had a thing for me. That's it, I'm playing the story still.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I took it.
And that's what you're doing, isn't it?
Eh?
That's what you're doing. You recognise
Yes.
you're still playing the story.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when you said that, it made me realise that that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is much simpler answer also to the question, why are we seeking? And then, you know, that same answer applies to everything that we are seeking. We are seeking happiness, we are seeking fulfillment, we are seeking security or safety, we are seeking friendships, we are seeking pleasure. Why? Because we think we don't have it.
Yeah.
And why we think we don't have it? Well, we don't feel it. And why we feel that sense of insecurity and vulnerability. Because this is where the search actually starts. From the sense of separation.
That needs to be filled.
Yes, sense of void, sense of I'm not enough as I am. I'm not good enough as I am. I'm limited, I'm separated, I'm vulnerable.
Yeah.
I'm in danger. I need security because I don't have it.
But you
I
feel
need
something that there's more. But
Absolutely.
You don't know what it is.
You want more pleasure, more happiness, more joy.
I've got to tell you this, since I went in metaphysics,
Yes.
for me it was like winging cat's flutter, finding out, you know, about... See, I started searching because I started wondering what all life was about. So for me it wasn't about money, it wasn't about happiness in that respect. It wasn't finding out what's life about.
Yes.
Because what I saw, to me it wasn't right, it wasn't enough.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? So my search has never been like the things you mostly said. No. My search has always been to find, see, I get emotional, to find my true self. I can't talk anymore.
Absolutely. But
That's
see,
it. And nothing else.
absolutely. And
To me, nothing else matters.
yeah, more or less everyone could land in here. You know, we don't want to be shallow and empty and just want pleasure. We want the truth. But
Yes.
why do you want the truth? Because it gives you a
No.
sense of fulfillment.
If nothing matters at all, not nothing else, nothing matters.
Yeah.
And what are you left with then? What if you leave it, instead of searching for pleasure, pain, whatever we're talking about, all the concepts
Truth.
we put on, what are you left with? Just everything as it is.
Yeah.
What's wrong with
As
isness?
it is, but okay. See, my mind now says, okay, as it is, but it's like I still have not found myself.
So, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask you?
Yeah.
So which self it is? Which self is it that you're trying to find?
Well, I speak logically, it's my true self.
Okay, so let's break that down a
Yeah.
little bit. So the self you're talking about, you could probably say that's a me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that me, what's wrong with right now if you don't think about it?
There's nothing wrong with it.
Okay, so what happens is the me which is the mind, is always in motion. It's always in motion. So there's this me that you call yourself, which is only an image, which is only a persona, as Bob says, the mask. That is an image in your mind, the same as every other thought in your mind, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the other thing. There's the other thing. So that can be a person, place, or thing, or thought, or story, right? And that other thing creates conflict. Because this me, which is the mind, which can only live in the past or the future, is looking for something,
Yep.
right?
See, I'm stuck in that.
Yes, so who is it that's stuck? That's what you need to look for.
That's
That's what I'm trying to point to, is that me that you think isn't fulfilled, is still searching, who gets emotional, da-da-da-da-da. That's the mind. See, that is the mind, which is the me, which can only live in the past or the future, creating dis-ease within you, looking for the other.
Yes.
Right? So what does that all appear upon? What does that appear upon?
So,
Is there something before all that thought? What breathes you at night?
yeah, I know. I understand that.
Ah, but do you?
No, I don't.
Because
Yes.
you know, I know exactly what you're saying because I was there too. I was there, you know, many, many, many times, and Bob would point and I'd ring Bob up and, you know, and it was just the mind. And you see, there's no answers in the mind.
No, it's not.
And
It's
and
like I'm going in a vicious circle.
Exactly. So what allows you to see that vicious circle? What breathes you at night? What is before all that?
See, about a month ago, I had actually an experience, I've told Bob and Terry was there too, where I was just in breathing. Sometimes I get up through and do meditation, I was breathing. Then all suddenly I opened my eyes and there was nothing, just void. And my body wasn't there. And I went, oh, where's my body? I could not feel it. Nothing, it was just void. But this voice was coming from here somewhere. And I'm going, oh, where's my body? What happened? And then all of a sudden, oh, it's happening. Lost it.
So you're having a taste of your true nature.
Yeah. But that gives, now, I keep going back to that, and I'm seeing things different. I keep going back to that scene.
Things keep growing. You get the recognition, you recognize it, more and more clarity.
It's you know, and even the other day I was driving to work, and all these things were coming up. I could see life so clear and understand it clearly. But maybe it's I've
It's
got
not even a solid
anxiety that I just want to get what I think I've got to get still somewhere.
Yeah. It's an image in your mind.
Leave the water settle down, it becomes clear.
Yeah.
How does it get muddy again? You stir it up. So when the thought things come up, you stir them up again. Leave them as it is, let it settle down.
It's not even a solid.
There's no one's going to tell you how, or why, or when. Everybody must recognise that they are already that. And it's put many, many ways. Look, you know, Nagata says, we are dreaming a dream you call the world. That's all that's happening here. I can't teach you anything or tell you anything because there's all these are things. You and I and everything are things. And something cannot come from no thing. So if it's no thing, and all the things that are appearing on it are not real.
Yeah, well, see, since that happened, like, I got more clarity of that because I know that it was just void, and there was movement, like it wasn't still, but it was void, and I couldn't even feel or see my body. I panicked.
Now what are you going to do? See that? You know where you get a taste of it from.
Yes.
Instead of going into the story trying to fix it, you go back to where you got the taste of it from. Settle down, relax.
And also the important aspect is not to revisit past experiences, because now what is left of the past experience is just memory, and memory sits in the mind.
And
So the
mind again.
Exactly. So actually what is wrong with this moment, right now? Because right now, if you don't think about your body, you don't have the body.
Yeah.
And see how this is true. Can you have the face if you don't think about it or visualize it? You don't have a face. It's just the seeing happening. And there is not even a place where it starts or where it stops.
No, well, that's what it felt like. you just felt like the voice was coming from here, but I don't know from where.
And how about right now? Because this is really moment-to-moment realization. All past realizations, yes, they're beautiful. They're nice to have a little taste of it. But it is going on all the time, moment to moment. There is never a time where you are not alive and aware, and when this experience is not actually happening. See, it is already that awareness happening right now. Your body is there only when you visualize it or think about it or sense it, or even when the sensation is there, you have to place it with the mind. So that realization is here right now. And moment to moment, coming back to it, is the stabilization process, where you actually stabilize and you see what obscures it. The idea, see how the mind comes in. I had a taste of it, and now I'm comparing that experience from the past, which is only a memory now, with the experience, present experience, and I see what is missing. And all that mental activity is happening in the head. The comparison with the past. That's what... Yeah, that's what's very, very often, and that's, gosh, I don't know, very often, takes us away, seemingly away, because you can't move away from what you are. But it takes attention away from the present realization, because the attention goes to comparison, to mental activities, to what's missing, focusing on what is not, dreaming, imagining, just like Bob says, dreaming a dream, imagining that it should be different, it should be like it was in the past or something. It's good to just relax and watch the movie. I mean, you know, mind is presenting all that ideas. Wow, cool. I mean, gosh, if you were dead, there would be no ideas. There would be no imagination going on, no projection. It's just when we identify with the projection and we take it to be true and we completely ignore our true nature, the fact of the being, then is when we suffer. Because when you see the mental activity and you actually enjoy it, wow, what a movement, oh, comparison going on, cool, great. I mean, gosh, who cares? You are completely, as the basic screen, as the life, as the presence awareness, you are completely neutral. There is your true nature doesn't have preferences. It doesn't prefer day over night or pleasure over pain. It doesn't. It allows everything as it is, and it's not even allowing it because it is already there. So it actually makes it out of itself. So any mental activity that you see, something that is not going on, is great. Just enjoy it as a movie, not as reality.
So we shouldn't get hooked on what happens, these experiences, let's say. Just let them go and that's it.
Well,
Absolutely,
you need
yeah.
to see what Jane and Kat just said is spot on. You need to see the visualization that I was getting whilst that was going on, this dialogue was going on, especially in relation to your question, is, if we watch, and the word movie is being used and the word image, we have an image of who and what we think ourselves to be, If you're literally watching a movie on the TV, and there's people in that movie, those people that we're observing in that movie, even if let's say it wasn't a movie, let's say it was a documentary, right? So they're real people as such, The people that we're seeing in that documentary, that we're seeing, is that the actual person?
No, it's not.
What is it?
Just an image.
Right. So, and what Jane was, what Jane was trying to point at is that we take all these images, these ideas about who I am, I'm still seeking, I haven't got it yet, it's the most important thing in my life, and rah. There's absolutely no difference to all that dialogue that goes on in here that we take to be who I am. There's no difference between that and what we see on a TV screen, watching a doco. It's the same. It's literally the same. If you think of an apple in your mind, and I put an apple in your hand, what's the difference between the apple that you're thinking about in your mind and a real apple sitting in your hand?
Still an image.
What's that compared to that?
Yeah.
Is that an apple?
No.
It's not.
No,
It's like
it's
it's total. So anything that you can conceive as being me, and I still haven't found myself yet, and
Yeah,
so on.
yeah.
You know, the way through this isn't a matter of finding my true self. It isn't a matter of finding my real nature. It isn't a matter of awakening to who and what I actually am. It's seeing through what we believe ourselves to be and the absolute falseness in that. When that's seen, that drops away and you're left with who you are.
That's right.
Totally left with who
Exactly.
you are.
Beautifully
So there's no
described.
you know, trying to grab or
Yeah,
I'm trying to get something, I still haven't got there yet, or, you know, the real thing is to see what both these lovely ladies were just really eloquently pointing to, and that is the block, the actual block to waking to one's real nature is that we believe that what I am is the content of the mind.
Which we call myself.
Yeah.
That's the block.
Okay, let's
Myself is no me or no mind, you know. Like the fellow, they told a story about the fellow who was downtown Kathmandu or somewhere searching for himself. Somebody said, you are the self. We woke up and saw it. And you're not unaware right now, you are that awareness. If there's no personal self there, what's aware?
What's a, what?
If there is no personal self, what's there?
No, sorry. I
If there's no personal self there, what's aware?
Oh.
You can't say you're not aware, so it's
Yeah,
self-aware.
yeah.
It's self-knowing, it's self-seeing. It's the one self, but we've got the concept and believed in and keep reinforcing that belief in a personal self. It's impersonal. There's nothing personal about any of it.
You're the context, not the content.
Yeah, yeah.
There's two things that seem to be going on. Okay? One is the identification with the
Yeah.
illusory self.
Yeah.
Okay? There's that seems to be going on. And then there's the fact that there's an aliveness, there's a presence, there's an awareness, like an actual livingness that's occurring. And that both those things are actually being experienced. One of them's true and one of them's false.
And I'm following the false.
That's it.
You got it.
That's all it
You
is.
got it.
And the only reason you're following the false is because 99.9% of people on the planet are doing the same thing. We've been conditioned to do that. We've been trained to do that. What I am is what I think. Of course, what I am is what I think. Would be the statement that would come out of 99%.
I realised when Bob said I was still in the store, I realised that's where I was stuck. And I said to my husband, I don't know what I'm stuck in, but obviously I am doing the story and I'm not realising what I'm doing.
Yeah, like
So
that.
what I was going to say much earlier was something was kind of what Jay was putting out in a visual. So this present moment, if you're not thinking about it, is just that empty that everyone's been talking about. And then then it might pop up on either side type thing, you know. For a moment it goes to some memory, for a moment it goes to some manufactured future, and the other times it's the nothing experiences. And yeah, so it's really just three different things popping up.
At the same time,
Yeah, at different times, and
One
the
after
one
another.
that's empty is the one that's most real, and that's it, really. It's not anything you can do to leave it alone or any of that
Yeah,
other
yeah.
stuff.
Can't change the mind with the mind.
It just pops
And
up.
that's a
yeah.
very good pointer what Tony is saying.
Yeah.
If the definition of reality is that which never changes, and definition of falsehood is that which changes all the time, see how long your thoughts last. That one thought pops up and then it goes away. Another pops up and then goes away. And the seeking and the anxiety and they're all changing. They're all completely changing. So they're not real. They're false.
It's still going to change, but you realise that it's all transient. There's that word again, transient.
But what you are.
And transient is in the appearance.
Yeah.
It's the basic screen, which you can't even call it a screen because it's got no substance, no static point, nothing. It's that essence of which silence appears in, sound appears in, movement appears in the stillness. Thoughts come up and it's utilised. That body is an appearance in it, which the thoughts and speaking comes through that body. And that's the means which it expresses. All these seeming bodies are the one expression, one pattern, one shape and form. Doesn't mean to say it's not going to still appear like that or will constantly be, but you know the difference is you recognise the truth of it all.
That's it. Become aware of it.
Yeah, so basically throw the rubbish. Everything that is constantly changing, deny it attention.
Yeah.
And what you left is that never changes.
Well, go into it if you want to, but know the truth about it and you're not going to be bound into it. So you're going to laugh at it after a while.
Yes, only a recognition. So you don't even really have to throw away anything. It's just a word.
Yeah.
But recognize, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think we're one too much, that's what it is.
Desires,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's totally okay.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great.
Tony, the cat doesn't care about it.
He's got it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
You've got to listen to what all these ancient scriptures tell us in different ways. Nothing is seen yet it is seen.
It's
You're
like
seeing
you hear
things,
all
it's
the
actually
time,
seeing nothing.
Pardon?
Pardon?
But you're still stuck.
Pardon?
You know, we hear it all the time.
Yeah.
I speak from it, and you're still stuck.
How do you know you're stuck? How do you know you're
Or when I
stuck?
say stuck, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, I know. That is not.
I'm
It's not
still
good.
searching, but I'm
Yes.
not getting anywhere because I'm like going on a merry-go-round.
What are
You
gonna
still
be
think that this moment is not good enough.
What are you going to be without the word?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Hang on, Bob's
Yeah.
asked you a question.
Sorry, Bob.
I said, what are you going to be without the word?
Nothing.
Mm.
Well, you're not going to say, that's what you were before you were born. The word is a very useful thing, but it's not the enemy, but it can be the problem when we take belief in it, it causes all our suffering.
Yeah, look at the cat again. You know, it doesn't have any words. It doesn't have concept that this moment is not good enough. And as you say, when you stop thinking, this moment is totally perfect. But when you start thinking, it gets obscured. But really, does it get obscured? Because what was perfect there, underlying that storm on the surface, is still as it was.
Well, obviously, I haven't realised that I'm still stuck in the thoughts.
Now you
what I'm
have.
saying?
But I hear what you're saying there.
in the
So
recogni-
Think about it.
in the
still stuck
recognising-
in the thought. I'm still stuck in the thoughts. The I is also a thought.
Ah.
So recognising is still, so who's recognising? Not the thought. There's a recognition or a resonating.
Cognising emptiness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the moment you actually recognize that you are stuck, who is recognized? You know, there is a stuckness going on, but the stuckness is already a content. And in the awareness, the screen, the stuckness is going on. How is it yours then? It's not really yours. You're just watching a passing cloud, stuckness. It's not yours. You are the witnessing, the knowing of it.
Yes,
As the awareness of it, you're not concerned with whatever is going on the screen. So you are already that. When you recognize you're stuck, you're already free. You recognize it from the point of freedom. Otherwise, you wouldn't know it's stuckness there.
That's right.
You go, oh, there's that
Can you
ongoing
see it?
circles cloud statement. You know,
What?
It's just a random ongoing circles cloud. Hi.
That's the I that I was talking about, the I or the me. You know, I'm stuck. That's all thought. That's all thought, including the thought I.
That's beyond that.
Well, you still,
Exactly. It's beyond that. So, what's watching?
it's closer than that you're observing. It's closer than that than what you're actually
Yes, I
observing.
wasn't taking them well done.
You are the watching, or as Bob says, you are the hearing, tasting, touching, smelling. That's before the dialogue goes on or the story. You're that spontaneous watching, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling. There's only oneness, and that we all have that. Hearing, tasting, touching, smelling happening all the time, right? And then the dialogue comes on. Oh, I didn't like that before. I'd rather have that there, and I'd rather do this, and I'd rather do that, and I'm stuck, and I haven't got it, and I need to be
Okay.
enlightened, da-da-da-da-da. And then you go, oh, cognising emptiness again. So every time you see that, it's a cognising of the emptiness that all that crap appears upon. That creates that disease within you or that conflict within you thinking, and it's all dialogue. It's the only way the mind can operate. You know, it can only operate in the pairs of opposites, pleasure, pain, before, you know, me, you, happy, sad, me, and how I felt last week when I was meditating, and it's all a story, you know.
Do you realise that, have you seen that you're not the thoughts?
From time to time I have realised it, yes.
From time to time?
Yes, I've had a thing where I know that that wasn't like a thought that came from me, sort of say, or something that was there, and I know. Then at one time I was looking at my grandchildren photo and I laughed and I go, where did that come from? That wasn't me, as this, right? So there is times where I'm aware of myself, or myself, no?
I don't know.
Yes.
You're telling the story. You're telling the story.
There is times where
I'm interested in what you're saying.
I've been aware, and there's other times where the thoughts come in, and
Wasn't the question. That wasn't the question I asked.
you said about.
You're aware you're not your thoughts.
It's been odd time. I'm not my thoughts.
Are you aware
Yeah.
that you are not the thoughts?
Right now, no.
You think
when
you're...
you said
Right.
you're aware of
Oh.
it, not the thought, well, you recognise it then.
Right now, no.
What do you want to say,
Oh,
Rob?
right now.
Sorry.
All right, go on.
I'm getting my puzzle.
It's all right. It's good. It's all right. It's all, it's
Yeah.
all good.
Wonderful.
It's all good.
Yeah.
The more scrambled you get, the better sometimes. Like really.
But that's,
Totally true.
that's another thing you need to look at, what Terry said before. Closer. That's what Tennyson said. Closer than your breathing. Nearer than your hands and feet. It's the closest thing you can get. What's prior to the breath you take? Do you disappear before the breath?
Well, right now, I'm aware.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I'm aware.
There is awareness there. So say, I'm aware.
Regardless.
And that's all that's in this room.
And is that the closest? Is that the most intimate? The most... But look at something that is really so familiar that it comes almost invisible. But it's undeniable, completely undeniable. That, you know, when you actually just come as close to the self, to home, to as intimately close to your own core of your essence or your heart of your being or whatever. What is it? It won't be a thought, because thought comes and goes.
It's a feeling.
Yeah, it could be a feeling, or it is something. Even the feeling is changing. Sometimes the feeling is warm, sometimes it's anxious. Even the feeling is, there is something even closer and even more intimate than the feeling. And you can't pinpoint it as an object. You can't make it to, like if you say, oh yeah, my presence or my aliveness, even the vibration of aliveness is changing. Totally, yeah, but there is something that you can't deny. Like if someone asks you, do you know that you are? Or you believe it, you know it.
Yeah, don't try and grasp it as an object. Something is no thing.
Yeah.
As Jane pointed out earlier, you know, mind is the past. There's no such thing as mind. Mind is the me, the mind is the past. There's no me in the present, in the actual immediacy of this moment before the next thought comes up.
So there's this...
Something that never changes, that was there with you since you were born. What is it? Something that is always with you.
That breathes you at night.
Yeah.
I thought it was the first thing she said. It's just there. It's just.
It is. I know even at night, even at times I wake up, I get awakened because I'm sound asleep. I wake up. I've either got to meditate or do something, right? I wake up, and I'm going, who's the one who's waking me up?
You know what you just said just then? That's what needs to be seen. And you're not seeing that. What you're seeing are thoughts that arise. Okay? And then there's assumed that there's a me here that is aware of the thoughts that arise. Okay? And what needs to be seen is that identity, that me identity that just spoke. And you're not seeing that. You're not seeing that. You're seeing the thoughts, and there's confusion, and I see this sometimes and I see that sometimes, and so on and so on. What you're not seeing is the one that's going, I see this sometimes and I see that sometimes. That's speaking. You're not seeing that. So you're seeing the content of all the stuff that prattles on in the mind, but what you're failing to see is that's saying I'm seeing this and I'm seeing that is also nothing but thought pattern. And you're not seeing that. Mary that sits there and might be digesting or ruminating over what I'm actually saying to you right now, whatever it is that's going on for Mary right now as this dialogue is happening, that needs to be seen. That Mary. What is that? That's what I meant by it's closer. And we don't see it initially as something observable. We become it. It's so close that we wear it and we literally become it. Like you used to do before you were exposed to this teaching, in terms of all the normal thoughts that just prattle on that you're now aware of, okay? You've got a bit of distance up between all that stuff that goes on in your mind. You've got some distance up and you can see it coming and going, and you can go, oh yeah, I'm not choosing that, that's just kind of floating through and so on. That distance that you now have, you don't have any distance up yet in relation to me, Mary, the entity that's here. There's no distance up. That's why you're stuck, because you can't see it. You still think that there's a Mary there. Totally believe that there's a Mary there. And that Mary that you're believing to be there is nothing but a pattern of thoughts. And you're taking that to be who you are. Like you're not catching it. You're not catching it right here, right now, in the moment, as it's speaking, as it's saying something. You're not catching it there. And you can only catch it in the moment. Do you understand?
I understand. I'm stuck.
Well, what you need? Yeah, but Mary,
Sorry.
but that's okay. But what you need to look for is that just said, understand, but I'm stuck.
Who's stuck?
You need to look for that. And until you start looking there, you'll keep looking in the mind for answers. You'll keep coming in, you'll keep asking questions, and you'll keep trying to get things.
So in other words, I have to do the inquiry, who's stuck? Who's
Exactly.
the one?
Who am I?
Who am I?
And so you just saw that. So that's a breakthrough right there.
It is.
Because I've done it a few times.
Yeah.
A lot of times, a few
And
times.
was there anybody there?
No.
Okay.
It's just constantly.
And that's why I gave up.
Yeah.
I give up. That's good.
Bob has something to say.
So that's why we try to grasp it with a concept and we can't.
Yeah.
And in the beginning was the word. Without words, we've got to use words here, but none of the words are real.
Yeah.
What's beyond the words? The silence and the stillness. You can't. They're only words too. You can't even say that. You can't negate it.
What you're experiencing right now, right this second, is just a pattern of thoughts. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all it is, and we take it to be who I am.
Who's stuck?
So you've got to isolate yourself from the thoughts, basically.
It's not advice, it's just seeing the truth. It's just seeing the truth, Tony. It really is. It's just seeing what is actually going on here. Who am I really?
Yeah. Where do
Like
the thoughts appear?
Where do the thoughts
Where do the
appear?
thoughts
Yeah.
Who to? What?
Mm-hmm.
You just see them popping up of their own accord.
See, if you would actually be,
Make that happen.
if you would, for example, want to write your autobiography or any other book, then you want to construct a character. Let's say it will be about you. How would you construct the character so it seems autonomous and believable? You give it a little bit of a picture of a body, you give it a little bit of a personality, you give it few past events and experiences, and now the character seems real. And now if something happens to the character and the character is crying, maybe the one who is reading the autobiography will also cry. So it feels, this is how the Self Plex, this is the science, the memetics call it Self Plex. It means that it's just a construct made of thoughts. It's completely redundant, and it has been proven in many, many different ways if you're interested in science. It's totally unnecessary. It's a construct which actually helps to propagate more thoughts, because thoughts are such a channel of expression for this ocean, as such a wonderful waves, that can show up. But this meme-plex or self-plex, that construct, that personality core, that self-image, as Bob says, that has been grown in us, is actually what causes the suffering. That is what feels like I'm stuck in this. I'm actually in a cage of that sort of a self-plex or the self-center.
So I'm creating that.
You're not. The life is creating. There is no you. Life is creating absolutely everything. Life has created all past events and experiences. Life has given you labels. The parents have given you labels.
So what I'm saying is whatever appears to me and whatever thoughts come to me, I'm just going with the flow of that. No?
Just leave it as it is and it moves on.
Yeah.
Fixate on it and on with it. And there's nothing created. Nothing ever been created. No created. And there's no creator either. It's all appearing. Phenomenal manifestation. It's all dreamlike.
And then it goes back to no thing.
Mary's just an idea only. Like seriously, Mary. It's just,
You just reinforced that this is there, right?
that was a joke. But it
A
is.
unique expression.
It's just an idea. It's only, and that's why it often gets used. And Tony's brilliant at it. What's wrong with right now? Unless I think about it. Where's Mary if there's no thought? Like really?
Do you exist?
Do you exist if there's no thought? I'm talking
No.
about Mary.
Yeah,
Does
no.
Mary
Oh.
exist if there's no thought?
No.
Then what's Mary?
Just an image.
Just the thought. Just a word, just a sound,
Smell.
and we've given a meaning to a sound. Literally, if you want to really nail down on it, like really nail down on this personalised me, it's a sound. And we've given meaning to a sound. That's it. That's as close as you can get, a sound. Are you a sound?
I don't know.
Well, which sound would you be?
Bob wants to add something.
You haven't disappeared, have you, without the word? When you say no, I'm not.
I disappear when I didn't see myself, but then I'm looking again and I'm here.
Well,
Your sense of existence, you still exist.
yeah,
What you are, that's a different story.
yeah.
Remember I said before, there's two things.
Yeah.
One's false, one's real.
Yeah.
If there's no thought going on, one of those is going to disappear. Which one's going to disappear?
The body.
The false.
Yeah.
The false is going to
The body.
disappear. What's going to be left?
The truth of your own existence.
That this is trying to find.
Yeah.
It can't. Because whilst this is here, it blocks that completely. Can't see it, can't have it, can't be aware of it, can't anything. Because it's a dream. It'd be like a dream character in a dream, expecting to know what it's like to be awake when the body stirs and it wakes up in the morning. The dream character can't know this awakened state here. I'm talking about your dream character in your dream when you're asleep, dreaming at night. It can't know this. It can't. How could it? And yet, whilst you are dreaming and you're asleep in that dream, which you've got no control over, none. Yep.
That's right.
There's a dream that gets created when you're asleep at night, and there's you in the dream, and all sorts of stuff goes on. Whilst you're in that dream, whilst you're dreaming it, you take the dream character takes the dream to be real. You do. You take your dreams in your dream to be real.
And all
this is
that dream character is a moment of thinking about it. And where it wants to go is not thinking about it. A moment of thinking about it, not a whole dream character, just a moment of thinking about it, and then not thinking about it. A moment of thinking about it, or making meaning of it, and then nothing. Meaning-making nothing. Meaning-making nothing.
So the dream character in your sleep wants to experience being awake. Is that possible?
No, not if I'm dreaming about it.
Oh, that's interesting. But that's what it wants. The dream character in this dream, I want to be awake, I want to get this, I want to be awake. You know, it's impossible. Because as soon as awakening happens, what happens to the dream character?
Gone.
Gone, disappears, poof.
It's just a bunch of spontaneous moments. Gone.
What about over here?
Yeah, I was about 18 months ago, I was having a dream with lots of dramas in it, and I came back through my front door, went into another room, and my hand went through, and I went, this is a dream.
Yeah, that happens too sometimes, yeah.
All the fear about the dream left, and I was off to have fun, and then I woke up.
I understand.
Yeah.
And here's the thing.
So what happens then?
Exactly the same as what happens here. Sometimes people have realizations like you've shared. Sometimes we go, oh, God, it is a dream. Yeah. Oh my God, it is a dream. 5 minutes later, we're back in the dream again. But we do have experiences of, oh God, I'm
waking up.
Yeah, it's a dream. And you can have, like, it's kind of like a similar experience when you are asleep. I've had it. You know, I've had realizations while I've been asleep in the dream, my character in the dream. Oh God. And somehow it just came to me in the dream, oh, this is a dream. Yeah. And there was literally, there was a relaxing that I experienced in the dream. Yes. And that wasn't, none of that was even real. Even the relaxing of it, and even the idea of, oh, it's just a dream. The whole fucking thing's a dream.
So when you wake up, you know, Mary woke up now, would it be a bit like that?
A bit like?
You know, waking up in a dream?
From the dream, absolutely. It is. That's why that analogy gets used all the time. Okay. It gets used all. It's a wonderful pointer. This that we're living in today, and we're on this search, and we're trying to get, you know, whatever it is that we think we're trying to get. Yeah. That character that's going on, say, between my ears, is nothing but a dream. They call it. There's the sleeping dream, and then there's the waking dream. And they're the same.
To wake up.
And the experience of, I don't know if I can say this, but I will. The experience of awakening as such is quite, it's the same as waking from the dream when you're asleep at night. You wake up in the morning and that's all gone. The whole dream that you've been experiencing whilst you're asleep, it's completely gone, like gone. And then there's just awake. And then you're here, and then a split second later, you go to sleep again, and we're in this waking dream. And then we're dreaming again.
So when you woke up, or whatever, you stayed awake? That's how it appears.
Bob wants to say something.
When were you ever asleep? Once you, as Zagadatta pointed out, once you've seen the dream as a dream, you've done all you need to do.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's not real.
You don't want to wake up from the dream. You don't. You will. I promise you. When the body dies. But while you're awake, you have this wonderful dream character. You have the vehicle capability of seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling. Enjoy it. It's a dream going on, and you know it's a dream. Love it, enjoy it to the fullest, appreciate it, because this is you, your true nature, the aliveness that is expressing through the body, as the body, through the dream, as the dream. Why end it?
Well, in that dream I was talking about, when I realised it was a dream, all the anxiety and fear left me.
And did you want to end it?
I was off to enjoy it.
Well, there you go.
As you said, waking to the dream, you've done all you need to do.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
What actually happens here? This might sound a bit strange, but what actually happens is people are asleep, just like you are when you're lying on a bed at night and you're dreaming. what actually happens here, whilst you're lying on your bed at night and you're dreaming, someone is coming along, whether it be Bob or whoever, someone is coming along and gently whispering in your ear whilst you're lying down on the bed at night, you're asleep, you're just dreaming, it's time to wake up. Come on, come out of there, you're just dreaming, it's time to wake up. And eventually you hear that and you stir and you wake up. That's all that's happening.
That's so well said.
That's all that's happening.
Yeah. So in other words, you've lived your life, your entire life,
In
dreaming that you're the image you have about yourself, which is called Mary, that everyone calls you Mary, you've been told you're Mary, you know, all your life you've identified with that label of Mary. And then, as Terry said, you were asleep. And then Bob came along and said, hang on, you're not Mary. Because Mary's only a label, it's only an image.
You're not that
Time to wake up.
You're not that character that you're
You're
dreaming
not that
about.
character, you're not
whilst
that
you're
image
asleep.
in the
That's
dream.
not you.
You just are.
It's not
You
not
just
awakening
are.
from the dream. It's
Yeah.
awakening to the dream. That it is a dream.
Yeah. The dream of Mary.
Yes, say again what Nisargadatta was saying. There is no need to wake up from the dream. Let him speak.
What?
Yeah,
What have I got to say?
you just said it, but you whispered.
I'll just have it.
Yeah, well, he says, realise you are dreaming a dream you call the world. That's what's going on, you're dreaming a dream. And he says, stop looking for ways out. Don't try and find your way out of it. The dream is not your concern. Your concern is you love one part of the dream and not the other. He says, take that discrimination away, love all of it or none of it. But recognising it is a dream. Waking to the dream, not from the dream. It's all a dream.
To the dream.
And
not
that's what they
from.
call it, Maya, or illusion. Illusion is a phenomenal manifestation, that which appears to be. Just a dream appears in sleep or on sleep. This manifestation is appearing on this waking dream and seemingly real. It's all a dream. And it doesn't mean to say it's going to disappear. But knowing the truth about it, you're not bound into it like we were before. That's a beautiful saying in one of the scriptures I read. He says, I am I who is conscious. It's consciousness. It calls it consciousness, you can call it awareness. Everything is fictitious, like a dream. So what does it matter what I say, think or do? Thinking us doesn't mean to say stop thinking. What does it matter? You know, you're not bound into the thoughts. I go about and dance with joy, you know, whatever it is. It's not bound into it. Thinking us. Thinking, you know, this is the dream. Or what does it matter? It doesn't matter, and all the rest of it. You think those thoughts will come up. There's no think of thinking. We think there. In the recognition of those things, it comes up. So you don't have to discard the thoughts, feelings, or emotions. And that's what they tell you. It's knowing the truth about them.
And the truth will set you free.
So if you wake up to that character, like the example I gave you at, the autobiography or even a movie of your life, or whatever kind of feels right, you have this dream character, Mary, and now you are waking up to the dream character, Mary. So you open and you read the book. What is Mary going to say next? What is Mary going to do next? I don't know. I'm the one who is reading the book, or I'm the one who is completely aware of Mary's life. Mary, the character, is moving about her dream, is moving in her book or in her movie or whatever. And you don't know what you're going to do next. You don't know what you're going to say next. But there is an awareness which is going to be kind of witnessing it, which is going to be noticing it. This is going to be registered on that basic screen. So waking up from the dream of Mary doesn't mean that the character disappears, the body disappears, the personality. No, that will still be going on. But now you are free from it. You can watch it. It can even be still your favorite character if it happens this way. Because it's the closest. You're still kind of wearing the body to see the world through it. And then you can see the character, you can see what it does, what it feels, just have the curiosity about that character that is not who you are. but it's just something that is happening on the screen.
What formed Mary?
Yeah.
Did Mary form Mary?
No.
What formed Mary?
You're the one who's watching.
Just appeared, I don't know.
Yeah, appeared on her own. The life essence. Yeah.
See how Mary came about, Bob, when you say about the child that is being born, is getting 2.5, and it starts learning words, getting labels. I'm a little Johnny, I'm good boy or a bad boy, or I'm interested in this or that, you know. And this meme-plex or self-plex, this core, this bundle of thoughts that create the core of identity, is growing, is being added all different memories, experiences, and the worst one is being added the capacities that it doesn't have. Like the I thinks that it can, this core of the being, that is mixture of different thoughts, it thinks it can see, but it can't. The body is seeing, the I can't see anything. Like close your eyes and see how much you can see with the I, with the thought, Mary, I, Mary, the self-plex or the self-center. How much I can see without the eyes? Nothing. So it doesn't see anything, it doesn't hear anything, it doesn't have any capacities. It's just a bundle of thoughts held together, so the life gets kind of more, you know, dramatic. Because when I tell you that, gosh, I like pizza, oh no, pizza is being tasty or likes it, and then I'll say, I love it. See how much the self-identity adds the drama to the world. And it adds suffering, it adds preferences, there are things liking, disliking, desires, attachments. All that juiciness comes in this one. And because the basic screen is completely indifferent, it doesn't prefer to have the self or not have the self, create the self-center or doesn't create it. It's completely neutral, it's completely transparent. It doesn't care whether you wake up from your ego or you don't wake up from your ego, or the character or whatever. So it is, when you actually see it for what it is, you can marvel at it also. It's quite amazing how that bundle of thoughts hijacks or believes it hijacks the capacity of seeing, hearing, and it says, I see, hear, and relate and translates everything to me as relevant to me. And this I is just hallucinated phantom. It doesn't exist. It is not there. So now, as you see that construct, that whole construct moving about your life, you can just say, whoa, and you are still the screen. Now you're waking up to the dream character. See, the moment you're waking up to the dream character, you see the dream character for what it is. The attention doesn't sustain it that much anymore. So it kind of starts looking more and more fake until it collapses. It may collapse in just a split second, or it may take a while before it kind of loosens up and comes to the point when it is not believable at all anymore. Like you already woke up from believing that you are the physical body, didn't you? Yeah, you know that. Also, you, to big extent, woke up from the idea that you were a thought, one or the other. Yeah, but this construction is pretty smart. It's really well done. It's really a brilliant intelligence. It's the evolution of the evolution is also a thought, it's also a concept. But it seems
what
like
keeps you in the dream.
Yes, it is something that gives the dream much more flavor.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm saying. It just gives you so much in believing in the dream.
Yes, and also it puts multitude of dreams over it. Because, when you kind of woken up from that self-center, there are random, action thoughts happening, like functioning thoughts. But there is not much happening, and I know that about Bob, I know that about myself and a lot of people here, not much of the dreaming about or fantasizing about future, not much of the anxiety regarding future or past, or not much of investment in what isn't. So the drama goes really down. I mean, the life it gets completely different flavor in a way that what is gets much more attention and gets much more tasty in a way. But the dramatic stories, of course they come up. Of course they come up. Concepts come up. Without them, this functioning would be hard. And they're also sweet, even if the memory comes up and visits, it's sweet. But there is no investment because there is no relating to that personal self. So that personal self not only opens much, much more of the channels for expression and for dramas, for thoughts. See, when you have the separate self, you, let's say, have 1,000 thoughts per day, and 999 will be about me. And if you don't dream that separate self, you're probably going to have, I don't know, much less, and all that about me will be probably very weak or gone. So from the perspective of the ways or channels of expression, waking up from this self-plex or that self-center is actually not even desirable, one could say, because suddenly the expression goes kind of blunt, in a way. But of course it's not the case, because the juiciness comes to the aliveness of this moment, of that seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, which is also a dream. And then waking up from this, that's a completely different story, because you wake up from seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling means the body dies. But even the recognition of the thinking process when you see your mind, every thought you have is completely new universe, fully furnished and fully equipped with the feelings, sensations, emotions, whatever you think about your daughter, you think about the meditation last week, and it all comes up. And it's all there, it's to be experienced. But when you realize it is just a vision, an image, while the reality of the seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, which is not reality either, but it's kind of like a primary dream, is there, and it doesn't really get much attention, because all the attention flows and feeds that images, that imagination. Then you may actually want to wake up from the imagination, from relating to that personal self. First, recognizing images. That's really yummy. When you actually see how much time is invested in creating that artificial realities by imagining, by imagination. And then it becomes obvious that all that imagination goes on because it's related to the me, to this self, to that construct made of thoughts that makes it personal, that gives it a drama. Yeah, it makes it important, because if there was nobody there and all that images were going on, who cares? Yeah, who cares? They wouldn't mean anything. They come and go, and they still, to a certain extent, some of them, they come and go. But that importance, that drama, that anxiety, that even the pleasures coming up from understanding something or getting something, that's actually completely replaced by different type of experiences that come right from the awareness of being.
It's like if you watch Home and Away, it looks like the people in Home and Away think it's all really, very important, but you're watching it and you're going, oh wow.
Talking about dreams, I didn't want to mention this, but since we're talking about dreams, we all do this, so it doesn't matter. I was in bed, I wanted to get up to have a pee, and I couldn't get the body to get up, but all of a sudden I found myself at the toilet, and I was about to wee, and I thought, no, if I pee, I'm going to wet the bed. Because the body was in the bed. Mm-hmm. But I was in the toilet.
Yeah.
And I said, no way. I said, so I went back to the bed.
Yeah.
And after a couple of minutes, I did it again. I got up, I found myself on the toilet again. And this went, to cut a long story, went for about 8 or 9 times, serious. I could not get the body to get up from the bed to follow me to go to the toilet.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
So what was that then?
It's the most interesting story I've heard in a long time.
The way I understand it is, sorry?
It's the most interesting story I've heard in a long time.
Well, I couldn't get the body to get up.
What happened in the end?
Oh, then eventually I did get up. No, I didn't pee the bed. Don't worry about that. I thought, at 65 and I want to pee the bed. But it was just unbelievable. I could not get it. Could not get the body to follow whoever was that was going there. Obviously, my awareness was going there, right there on the toilet, ready to pee, but then thinking, oh no, if I pee, I'm going to wet the bed. Because the body, I knew that the body was there.
It's just amazing the
And the
variety of
intelligence
version.
told you.
Sorry?
Intelligence told you you were still in the bed.
Yeah. Like, I was aware of both things. I couldn't understand it. Since we were talking about dreams.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. When you actually look at, Tony was just starting saying a variety of ways it expresses is infinite, absolutely infinite. Every moment is so beautifully juicy and different and is so rich in all the flavors and textures and everything. Seeing the dream from this perspective, even if there is some uncomfortable or something that is labeled as unpleasant, if it is viewed from this perspective of infinite creativity of that, it doesn't hurt. There's no suffering.
See, all these patterns seem solid and real. You and me and everything else out there in the manifestation. But it's all phenomena, all appearing only.
And regardless of the dream, you were still moved. It had nothing to do with you.
So regardless of the dream, right?
You were still moved.
To get up and go to the toilet.
Or not get up and go.
Yeah, you didn't do a thing.
It's only the story that you've got going around about not getting up. There's a big story around that. Yeah. But the reality is, eventually, you were moved to go to the toilet. It had nothing to do with your dream or being aware of content of the dream, or I'm sleeping, or I'm this, or I'm having this, and I thought, one minute I thought I was standing in front of it having to pee, and then I realised, I'm still asleep again, and I still haven't had the pee yet. That's the story.
Okay.
But regardless of the story, you eventually
got up,
were moved, which had nothing to do with you or the story.
Can you see it?
No, I can't. Say it again. Eventually I got up, right?
No, eventually you were moved.
Life wanted to pee.
Nature's call.
Life.
Nature's call. It wasn't
There was no
So in other words, eventually it had to happen without me, right?
Well, try. Look, the reality is, try lying there and not letting it happen. You'll eventually piss the bed.
Or you'll get up and move.
Yeah.
Probably you'll get up and life will get up and move.
See, Tony, if you would imagine that there is, just imagine for a start, that there is nobody there, that there is no Tony inside that is to decide, or there is no Tony that wants to invite the body. What if there was just a pure functioning? Like, what if there was no that self center or that self plex wasn't there? The body would still, the brain would send the neuronal signals that would create the tension in a bladder, and there would be some movement, or there would be some, some images going on. See, there are thoughts, feelings, emotions, all of those things. There's nobody doing them. Like, you don't do your seeing. You know that, huh? You know that the seeing, the process of seeing. Yes. Same, you don't do your digestion. You don't do your hair growing. You don't do the information of the bladder being full. You don't do it. It's just happening. That's how the body functions. Now, thinking, also, you don't do the thinking. This is also happening. On top of the other part of functioning, there is thinking going on, there are stories going on, there are thoughts going on. There is, again, nobody who leads them up, nobody who starts them or who stops them or who follows them.
I understand the fact that we don't choose the thoughts, because when I have, let's say, I go blank and then a thought comes. Now, I can't go back and say, oh, yeah, I thought of that. I can't, because I didn't. So I realise that the thoughts just do pop up. Right?
Yeah, cool.
Because you can't go back and say, well, I made a decision to choose that thought. I can't do that anyway. I can't say that. So I realise that the thoughts just do come up
That's wonderful. And do you think there is anything that you can do? Like, do you think you can... You know that thoughts come up. You know that you can't choose them. You know you can't make any conscious decision, or you don't have any free will to choose the thoughts because they just come up. So now the same way as the story at night happened, there was a story of... the thoughts come, or the mental images came of going to the toilet and leaving the body behind. That is also not something that you created or that happened to you. It is just the floating sensations, floating thoughts. There is an awareness. You are that awareness, or that basic screen. And that images from the past came up. The body on the bed, the awareness in the toilet, or the movement. Can you see how even this sort of a scenery doesn't require a self-center or the ego or the I that is orchestrating or controlling or managing it, or even knowing about it. It's just like the cat here. It doesn't take anything personally. It's just life moving it. Life is moving its guts. Life is moving the attention. Where is it looking?
Well, I realised it was just happening, and I had no choice, basically.
Absolutely, that's it. That's all
That's
there
what I
is
said
to
before.
it. Yes.
It happened about 8-9 times, and I still couldn't get the body to get up.
And that's,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had no choice until it did happen, like you said. Eventually, it did happen.
That's wonderful illustration of how you are not the doer. It's great because you can recognize the very same pattern moment to moment. How everything, just thoughts appear and the action follows or doesn't. Thought doesn't appear and the action follow or doesn't. It's just the awareness and the movement. And now one of the thoughts will be translating, oh, this is my movement or my action. But that's also just another set of thoughts that appear spontaneously. There's not a person that does anything. And if that pointer is fully understood, there's nothing more that is needed. Really, if you understand that you are just the space-like awareness or the sky-like awareness, and everything that is happening within it is none of your doing, is just spontaneous functioning, thinking, everything.
One guy a while ago, I was listening, he used to call that, you probably guys probably know him too, he used to say, it's the clown that takes the bow. In other words, you take the credit for it, but you haven't done nothing.
That's right.
The credit could be a positive credit, there could be a negative credit too.
That's right.
But you don't actually, it's the clown that takes the bow. In other words, he makes it that he's done it, but he hasn't done nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Without that life essence fattening through that body, what could it do? What does a corpse do?
Mm-hmm.
Can't.
Yeah.
That's the life essence. How could you have a thought without that life essence in the body? How could you blink your eyes, do anything at all? And that life essence, you can't say what it is either. It's the same. Life essence is functionless manifestation of universe, which is all Maya anyway.
When you compare with what you just said, the corpse, it's an excellent, and I've thought of that myself. What is the difference between a corpse and a person alive? Now, he's got the heart, lungs, blah, 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 blah. This one's still got everything that he's got, everything he's got. But there is one thing that's not there, and which is here, and that's whatever you want to call it, consciousness or whatever. The life force or the intelligence, energy or whatever. Animation or whatever, yes. Yeah.
That's, beautiful.
That's,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And can we separate it? Can we separate it?
Can
it be separated?
Can we separate it?
Yeah. Can it be separated, that life essence? What do they call it? Sentience.
What did you say, Bob?
It can't be separated.
Sentience.
Oh, yeah.
So, Mary, if you could see it the same way he is seeing, like, the activity of seeking or the idea that I'm stuck, and that contraction that comes with that idea. I mean, of course, there is emotional component to every image, because that's the same aliveness that is animating it. Now, if I take a thought, I'm wonderful, gosh, that feels so good, if I believe it, of course. And then I have, and I take a thought, shit, I'm stuck. I'll be crying. I'll be having cortisol going up and down in my body. I'll be breeding my own cancer in 10 years. But the good thing about the whole process of recognition is that every thought can be recognized for what it is. Whether I'm wonderful or I'm stuck is still a thought that is happening on the sky-like awareness, or what is it, the other way they say it? Whatever
whatever you like to call it.
Whatever you want to call it, basic screen or cognizing emptiness. In that intelligent emptiness, the emptiness with the capacity of noticing and recognizing, there is a thought, I'm stuck. But there is not you. There is some character. There is some image of a character being stuck. But you are the one who is free, always free and unbound, and aware of that process, of that movement. And you see how this I'm stuck is also changing. You're not stuck when you sleep at night. You're not stuck when you go for a beautiful sunny day out or something. Yeah, so it comes and goes. So it's unreal. So it's false. It's transient.
All sorts of thoughts are going on.
The process sort of thing. Yeah.
All sorts of...
I've got a few thoughts. Can you explain?
Yeah, let him.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Go on. All sorts of thoughts are happening. Would you choose these thoughts? The unhappy, the sad, the miserable.
Which is the best ones you
Yeah.
If you're all lined up in a row, you pick up all the good ones.
But you can't do. So you realise that there's no choice maker.
That's right. No, that I understand 100%. Yeah, but cognising, what is it?
Emptiness.
Emptiness. Can you explain that to me, please? Because I don't understand exactly.
Well, it's empty. The whole manifestation is empty.
Empty. And so what's cognizer? Cognizer, I looked it up on the...
Well, the same. Use it the same as knowing.
It says something...
Knowing.
Knowing.
Yes. Like recognizing is knowing again. So cognizing is knowing, pure knowing, without the
not personal knowing. It's a that's the emptiness that's doing the cognising. The cognising appearing, and it's appearing like everything else in this manifestation.
And if you look, noticing, if you look at the substance of every sensory experience, let's say there is seeing going on.
Yeah.
How do you know? That's the same knowing. There's hearing going on. How do you know? This is the knowing. This is the cognizing. There is an emptiness that is cognizing.
It's like the mirror. Pretend you're the mirror inside the mirror and looking out. It's just consciousness looking out, and everything's just happening in that spaciousness. So instead of looking at the mirror, be inside the mirror, and this is it. There it is.
What you're saying about your thoughts before, like I've noticed a notion pop up, I think of going to ring somebody, and then a bit later there's a sentence, oh, I think I will go and ring blah blah blah, and it's noticing just popping up out of nowhere. That I think I will was an utterly meaningless addition to the front of that sentence, and redundant, and the whole rest of it was redundant. It was just a description of what had already popped up. One was there, the others were there. You know, it was just utterly coming out of nowhere.
But even though the thoughts just pop up, but they seem to pop up to each individual body, you know, according to
Conditioning.
their lifestyle or their conditions, as you said.
Each pattern is a unique expression. There's no two bodies like yours. Each pattern is a unique expression. And that's the wondrous diversity it can have, pattern, shape and form in. No two leaves on the tree out there are the same. No two fingerprints are the same. So it's a uniqueness of expression in all its variety and diversity, but nothing's ever happened. It's only seemingly so.
And also the thoughts and conditioning is also completely moving, is flowing throughout all life. You may pick up a new hobby tomorrow, and you'll get a lot of thoughts relevant to that new hobby. Everything is kind of...
Yeah, it follows on. I understand that. Yeah. It's like the like attracts the like sort of thing,
Yeah.
But the screen it's all appearing on has never changed.
And we are the screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Full stop.
And ultimately,
there's only
we
the
are
one
everything.
screen.
We are everything, ultimately, because the pointer that, the static aspect is real, or screen is real, and Maya is illusion, is very valid pointer. But ultimately, even Maya, the illusion, is a movement of the same stillness. So we are absolutely the one, the totality. So including the space and including the what is changing, ever changing.
Well, they said that it goes back to when we say, we make the statement, I am not the body, right?
Yes.
So in one way we are saying I'm not the body.
Yes.
But then
ultimately you are
ultimately
everybody.
you are also other body because you are that.
But not one exclusive
so it's sort of
body.
Seems contradictory, but it's not.
It seems, because when you say I am not the body, it breaks down the identification with one particular body.
Yes.
If you would say I am every single body, the identification is not there, so it doesn't need breaking. So the pointer is actually a functional pointer. The netty excluding everything, like a separated one sort of a way of expressing, like I am not the mind, I am not thinking, I am not,
I think I understand what you're saying. It's like when we say I'm not the body or the mind, it's just a way of breaking
yes.
the two separate, to separate the two
yes.
for that individual
yes.
person, let's say, which is not individual, but just for him to realise that, who he really is, that he's
that's true, yeah.
that he's not just that body. Because otherwise we think we're just that body.
Exactly right, exactly right.
I am that is everything. We know that in our language. That's the chair, that's the carpet, that's you, that's me. They're labels we put on to differentiate it.
So if you would say, I am every single body, body of the tree, body of the house, body of the clouds, okay. Nobody would tell you are not the body, because it wouldn't be relevant.
Yeah, I understand.
All the pointers are actually, they very contradictory one to another. Every pointer can be bottled up and proven to be absolutely idiotic, every single one, because they're words, and words are symbolic to objects. And what we are talking is non-conceptual, which means wordless awareness. So now we are using words to point to something beyond words. So of course every word is wrong, every pointer is wrong. Even calling it anything, even calling it an awareness or wordless or non-conceptual awareness is wrong, because it assumes that there is something there.
Yes, it can all be pulled apart with the word, but can you negate your beingness? Can anybody knock you off that perch?
Mm.
You're right though, Tony, you go from, I'm not the body, I'm not the thoughts, I'm not this character, some might call it a personality, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this. Yeah. Then you wake up and you go, fuck, that was all bullshit. I am this, but I'm also that, and that, and that, and that, and that.
So you need that I'm not the body just to get to separate,
to break the
to
personal,
see the
to break the
personal presence of you, of a me, of an I.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the personal identity that's the problem.
Yeah.
Which is what feels isolated and separate and fearful and
stuck.
Detached and stuck and
Yes.
I haven't got this and oh woe is me and
And different people go through, some will go through a long listing of that for decades, and some bang, don't even need to do any of it,
That's
and
right.
it'll be everything in between. So
That's right.
Yes.
Yetis,
Yeah,
not
doesn't
this,
ever happen
yeah.
the same time,
Some
the
fruit,
same way
some
twice.
fruit falls off the tree, bang.
Yes.
Other fruit takes a long time to
The
ripen.
cat doesn't care
No.
what it is. It knows that it is.
Yes.
That, not that it's a cat, it just knows that it is.
Mhm.
There's only the human form can know what it is, they say. So
Probably doesn't even
But
make
it
that
can't.
reflection that
I
it
mean,
is,
it seemingly can know, but what it knows that it is going to be false. That's why the identification, I'm the body, that's false. I'm the mind, that's false. I'm sky-like awareness, that's false. Yeah, but you're right, the opportunity or the possibility of assuming the consciousness of the life assume itself as something other, something different, something else, body, mind. How marvelous. That's what creates the whole dream.
Yes, the words that create all the manifestation. Get the word in. I say, if we didn't have a word, we'd be like the cat. Seeing no thing, yet it is seen. What we're actually seeing is no thing.
you woke the cat up.
But we need the word
Exactly.
for the dream to work.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's why
We have them.
that's why the human patterns are unique expressions of it. Animals and birds and things like that, through their calls, they can recognise danger or it's hunger or thirst or whatever it is, you know, with the sound. But they haven't got labels, words on it. We put labels and the meaning into the labels. And the meaning is not what it actually is. You can't grasp it with a concept, with any word.
All we know, the cat probably never makes the reflection that it is. So probably, for all intents and purposes, doesn't know that it is. Or that there is anything at all. Because that reflection probably never happens. So it's really just something going on, but the cat doesn't know that for sure, just like I don't think we do. There's something going on I will attest to, but I won't say anything about awarenesses or surfaces or any of that stuff, because when I'm not thinking about it, I don't never see it there. Because I know I'm just not thinking about nothing, you know.
Yeah, but apart from you, everybody else knows they are, even if they don't thinking, if they are not thinking.
I just think something's going down.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not a void. I like when Bob says there's no void.
Mm-hmm.
That intelligence that you were talking about, that we were talking about earlier, that got you out of bed and eventually got you into the toilet. Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. and it's that intelligence that we don't trust. When we're an isolated individual, we absolutely don't trust that. I'm running the fucking show. I'm totally running the show. I don't trust anything or anyone. I mean, I might trust my mum to be nice to me and, you know, stuff like that, but generally, as a control factor, I'm running the show. I'm responsible. I mean, we even get taught that. You know, I'm responsible for my actions and what I do and what I say and so on and so forth.
Goes back to being the clown that takes the bow.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. So imagine a fish. Imagine a fish that's only got eyes on either side of its head. Just eyes. Yeah. Doesn't have the capacity to turn its head around and look at its body. It can't look at its body. So it's just a seeing thing that's swimming around in the water. So there's literally just seeing. It doesn't know what colour it is. Can you imagine? Like, it can't see itself. There's no mirror. Can't see itself. Can't see its own body. So there's just this.
Did you say it has awareness or not?
Well,
it's a conscious fish.
The
conscious fish.
It's a sentient being.
My point.
Yeah.
My point is, and I'm just using this as an illustration. Yeah, that same fish has got no idea what it looks like. It's just a seeing thing that's swimming around. All fish is doing is there's just seeing that's taking place. Can you get your head around that?
I understand.
Okay.
It doesn't exist, but he's seeing.
There's just seeing.
Seeing's happening.
Okay. How does that fish know what other fish to mate with? Can't see itself. Why doesn't it swim up to an octopus and start trying to mate with an octopus?
Or a dirty big shark.
Or a shark or whatever. But you generally find that schools of fish, and they're all, mind you, just seeing, they can't see their own bodies, hang together. How do they know to hang together? How do I know, if I'm just seeing, that I'm that particular manifestation of a fish? I'm an orange fish, and that's. How do I know that I'm that?
Probably smells good.
In other words, how would the individual fish I'm talking about? How would the individual fish that thinks it's running the show and has got choice and is going to swim here and do this and so on? How would it know that it was that fish there was its brother? Let's say, how would it know? Can't see itself. No, like zero, can't see itself. How would it know that it's that? Why would it hang around in a school of fish? And that's that intelligence that gets talked about all the time. There's a functioning that happens. And that's just one little example. It was that got you out of bed and made you go and have a piss.
That's right.
Talk about that, nature, going back to nature, right? I mean, I've got the beans growing, right? And the beans, you know, they're the ones that climb, right? Yeah. So the bean, it's got to the height where the, you know, what do you call a stem or whatever. It got up to this height, say, and here I am, I've got the mesh here. I'm trying to put so to grow on the mesh. Now to go back there. After 2 days, he knew where to go, and he started climbing the thing. So there goes the intelligence.
There you go.
Oh,
It hasn't got eyes.
It's everywhere.
Obviously, I mean, it hasn't got eyes to see. It's got mesh there. There's nothing on the other side, but they're all going to that side where the mesh is. So the intelligence, as you say, it's the intelligence that makes it.
Go back to that school of fish swimming around. They all move as one. What tells them?
Even birds.
Even birds, yeah, flying a flock of birds, they'll all wheel as one. Somebody saying, well, go this way or go that way, or it's just a spontaneous move.
So the intelligence put the mesh there, didn't it?
Absolutely.
And it's intelligence that puts you, the supposed you, to sleep at night.
Mm-hmm.
It's the intelligence that wakes you up
That's right.
in the morning.
And it breathes you while you're
And
sleeping.
you could test that. You could test that. Just try staying awake forever. Try not going to sleep. You wouldn't be able to do that.
No, you can't.
Eventually, the intelligence would go, nice try, wacko, and you'd go to sleep, you know. Or, you know, whilst you are asleep, decide, I'm just going to stay asleep. Life's too tough. I'm just going to lie here on the bed for the rest of my life and I'm just going to stay asleep. You can't do that either. You just get awoken.
I think you have to be careful not to mysticize it as a separate thing, so I prefer the phrase you used about functional, what did you say? It's something, the functional, you used a phrase that it's really just conditioning, it's all of that, it's that you have the functioning, something
Functioning, yeah.
Yeah, she had a double phrase, it was quite good, yeah. So it's really just a development of everything, so instead of making it some mystical thing, or I'm not saying people are, but I was turning to when I hear those words, or a sense of agency, which is the other mystical thing that happens. Like my favourite one is somebody was saying about these little creatures swimming towards this wall, and when they bump, something opens and chemicals come out and make it thick, and so then that pushes them away from the wall, and the little things close, the chemicals go away, the water thins down, but there's a bit of a current now from the movement, so they're angled differently, so they start going forward because that's the conditioning, the involvement, the whatever, natural unravelling, and then they bump the wall again, and the things open, and the stuff comes out and there's a moving back, and then eventually they end up going through the gap. And anyone watching will say, oh, they're intelligent creatures, they just worked out there's a gap over there. So we come up with these macro stories when on the very, very basic level, there's just some kind of happening of source, you know, doing its thing. And we have no idea how it's doing it. And physicists have no idea, like if you just Google where they're at, they've got like, oh, there might be some plasma, there might be some opposing positive and negative charges which don't always cancel out, there might be some strings, they don't know atoms, they haven't found any quarks, you know, it's all theoretical. And so we can put a mystical this and that, but essentially there's just the source, all that is doing something. We have no idea what.
We don't know, we think we do.
Yeah.
Bob,
Yeah.
what knows the three states?
Pardon?
What knows waking, sleeping, dream?
They're pure intelligence. They're appearing on that pure intelligence that you are.
And is there a fourth state? Can you know the pure intelligence?
Well, you can have a fourth state if you want, I don't want.
That's what I'm saying.
Probably when you divide it up, you can divide up into as many states as you like, but I'll try and keep it in its simplicity, as simple as possible.
So the intelligence knows all
Yeah.
three states.
Like, you know, we think we do something. Go back to the old story of the fella in the phone box. There was a fella ringing me from the phone box when I was up the bush, telling him this stuff, and he said, well, that's the case, I won't do anything. I say, well, all right, try staying in the phone box.
Is he still there?
I doubt it.
We go for a pee.
So
And,
there's three states. Out of those three states, there's only one state which is real. The other two are illusion, correct?
No.
illusion.
Sorry?
All illusions.
All illusion.
Well,
Every state is illusion.
I thought that you got the dream state, you got this waking state, what we call waking, then you've got deep sleep state, right? Now, as far as I
Which one is there permanently?
I thought the deep sleep state is where it's real, because
Is it
that's,
here
you
now?
go back to... Sorry?
Is it here now? Deep sleep? Is it here now?
No, it's
So
not.
it is also coming and going, it's also changing. It can't be real if it is not there permanently. It's coming and going. Every one of these three states.
Yeah, the body comes and goes, it sleeps and doesn't sleep, but the actual whatever is in the body when it's in the
Yeah, if someone taps
Meaning
you,
making
wakes
isn't
up.
happening.
Yes,
That's
yes.
right. So we're saying.
So I'd say, to me, sleep is the disappearance of an appearance.
Yeah.
disappearance of an
Of an
appearance.
You're not labelling stuff.
But no, but you're still there in sleep because the consciousness is.
I think it was in the book from was it Maharaj or something. I've read that out of those three states, two states are illusionary, which is the dreaming state and this state, because this was also a dream. But when you're actually in deep sleep, it's like you've gone back to what you are.
Say it's the closest to
the intelligence.
State. Bob would answer that.
It's no state, isn't it?
Sorry?
It can't say it's a state. No state.
No state.
Just pure awareness. Singularity. Think we got some power, mind power and all these thought power and all those things. But prove it to yourself. Breathe out and try and hold your breath. With all your heart and soul and mind, say, I'm going to hold my breath. Something will make you take another breath. Try it and see. How long can you hold it for? You can train it for a while, you might get a few minutes out of the divers and all the rest of it.
I wouldn't even get 2 minutes out.
Hmm?
I can forget 30 seconds.
Yeah,
Holding my breath.
same there. But the belief we are doers, we can't do anything at all. And so I can't teach you anything, can't tell you anything. All I can do is point to what and ask it along. To where I'm pointing to, because what I'm pointing to is the dreaming character. A pattern, shape and form which is appearing on and disappearing on that so-called screen, which is like a mirror, clear and empty.
Is it different states of realization or awakening, whatever you want to call it? Like, is it different states of when people get awakened? Like, you know, if you look at Nisargadatta Maharaj or Ramana Maharshi or other ones, where, you know, they're pretty, well, supposed to be, you read them about them, they're pretty high in consciousness. You would say, well, is it a different states of when you become realised
No,
of it?
no.
I haven't seen any do it.
I'm just saying, I don't, I'm just asking.
No, I've seen Nisargadatta.
No.
He's the simplest bloke you could ever see in the world, most approachable person. Same with Muktananda. He was supposed to have a Kundalini and all that, could have all different experiences.
Because they had a documentary on Ramana Maharshi, and he was saying that at the age of 17, you became realised, awakened, whatever, and then he was going samadhi for months without eating or nothing, and
Not really, because if he was realised at 17, he would have just gone home and played football or something. He went to Arunachala and stayed there on the mountain for 10, 20 years, being with himself until then he came down and started speaking.
But you reckon that he was after? He was realised
Well,
after.
he stabilised in it. He realised it, but then he had to stabilise in it. He had to stay with it. I think, would that be it, Bob? I'm not sure. He had to stay with it. He had to stay with that realisation.
Well, you don't need to say anything, but you do.
Yeah.
In the world, you know, carry on like
You know, it was said that for 25 years he didn't speak either.
Yeah.
That's the real question. Who is it that becomes enlightened?
Yeah.
Well,
No
no individual.
No one. Unless
no such thing.
So the four states of liberation that the Buddhists talk about, Theravada Buddhists, are just psychic states.
Mm-hmm.
They're a personal attainment.
Yeah.
They're not true enlightenment.
Have a look at that, enlightenment. It's not acquiring anything or getting anything, it's dropping things, taking off and off, leave yourself naked and away.
Lighten the load.
Yeah.
Just turns up on the couch.
We've gone over, I think.
Oh, we gone over. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.